The U.S. House has voted to formalize the procedures for the impeachment inquiry. Now, of course, by the end of the day, we're all just sort of collecting the information around here, and we'll have how our Iowa representatives voted on it. And we will talk about the implications of that. We'll find out if Representative Axne voted for this inquiry, and Representative Fink and I. Remember, this is just an inquiry. These are not actually, this is not the impeachment resolution. I think it'll get to that, but this is just, we're formalizing what we've been doing. And you say, well, Jeff, why formalize what they've been doing? Couple of reasons. The biggest for me is Adam Schiff this morning in his speech leading up to the vote said, now we enter the public phase, and the American public can watch these witnesses talk about how bad the president is. And they want wall-to-wall television coverage of that. It's a diselection campaign against President Trump. So, number one, I think that's what they want. Number two, in my mind, what they want is they're responding to the president saying that, you haven't taken a vote. This is not a proper process. We're not cooperating. And therefore, they have now taken a vote to formalize the rules of the process, and I think they'll try to hit the president on obstruction of justice if his administration continues to not cooperate with this inquiry. So the political implications of it, well, that's yet to be seen, and I'll tell you why. Because you've got a Democratic base that is demanding that Democratic legislators vote for impeachment, demanding. When you're taking a look at national polling, and politicians do, and it says over 80% of Democrats are in favor of impeaching the president, you can't ignore that. You are afraid of disheartening your base in regard to impeachment. So you've got to take this vote. And you also are aware that most of the voters out there, whether you've got a D behind your name or an L behind your name, an R, or you're an independent, they are not, I just vote for Democrats all the time voters. They are persuadable voters. And you know that the larger universe of voters says you are wasting your time on impeachment and you are not getting to the issues that matter to us. In fact, a statement has just come out from the White House, and you see the narrative begin. Well, we've got all these things we should be working on. Prescription drug prices, we got these trade deals, we got all these different things, and we're not working on that. We're spending all of our time on impeachment. So I do think that the Democrats will attempt to wrap up the process by the end of the year. I think they will vote to impeach the president because their base is demanding it. It'll go over to the U.S. Senate. The U.S. Senate will not get the 67 votes required to impeach, and then we'll move on toward the 2020 election. And what the Democrats will attempt to do in the next year is start to take action on issues like, say, prescription drug costs and say, look, we're doing our work too. We're doing our work too. And that's how they'll try to fend off the charges that folks in Washington just got caught up in the impeachment drama and we're not doing the work of the people. So the interesting thing is, though, if you take an issue like the trade agreement between Mexico and Canada and the U.S., if the Congress ratifies that agreement, that's a win for President Trump. And so it's interesting that you have to deliver wins for President Trump in order to signal to the American people that you are getting the people's work done. And that'll be an interesting political quandary for many Democrats, I think, in the next year. So this inquiry process will begin. I believe the Democrats are trying to get it over by the end of the year. And here's what's so interesting also. And this, again, let me relate it back to how this is going to impact Iowa. You just have a story that Kamala Harris, his campaign is flailing, has laid off some staff and redeployed other staff to Iowa. And she's going to put all her eggs in the Iowa basket, as many candidates have done. Try to get some momentum going in Iowa, and if you can get momentum going in Iowa, then you use that to launch yourself toward the Democratic nomination for president. If, for example, think of when the caucuses are scheduled. They're scheduled for early February in Iowa. Let's say it's close to Christmas and the U.S. House votes to impeach President Trump. Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader of the U.S. Senate, has already said, we have to hold a trial. We have to. I cannot blow it off. We must hold a trial. What if that trial takes place in January? The senators running for president have to be there. It actually takes them off the campaign trail. How would you argue to people when there's an impeachment trial going on? You are having a trial on whether or not to remove the sitting president of the United States. I got to go to Iowa. I got some folks in Waukee I got to be speaking to. I think that's a quandary as well. If the Democrats do this impeachment inquiry process and they deliver an impeachment vote before the end of the year, if I'm Mitch McConnell, I'm setting a trial up in January, and I am taking Democratic senators off the campaign trail in Iowa. That is a huge, huge problem. And don't you think for a minute that Mitch McConnell isn't thinking about this. He has already said to the press, we have to have a trial. Because there was some talk, he'll do some procedural maneuvering. Why would he? If he actually is going to take Democratic senators off the campaign trail as we head toward Iowa. Don't you think he'd do that? He's really going to disrupt campaigns like that of Kamala Harris. She needs to be in Iowa. This is her shot. This is it. And yet there will be a trial going on in the U.S. Senate in regard to impeaching this president. She's got to be in D.C. and not on the campaign trail. So this does have huge political implications. But the biggest implications for me are yet to be seen. When you're talking about vulnerable Democrat incumbents like Representative Axne, Representative Finkenauer, the issue for them in the next year is I got to get some stuff done. I got to vote on some things. I got to tout that I'm doing things. Otherwise, the big knock on me in the 2020 election will be, I sent you to D.C. as a difference maker. I didn't want you to be part of this partisan sideshow we have. I wanted you to get important issues, important things done, and you didn't do that. And that puts their election in danger unless things are done. For Iowa, the number one thing that needs to be done right now is that trade agreement. You're hearing all about it. Canada, Mexico, U.S. In fact, I was reading an article this morning on the Fed's cutting interest rates because they're looking at slowing growth in the United States. The quarterly reports come out, and the economy is good, but the growth is slowing. And there are a number of economic experts that say that the reason that is happening is because we are not doing these trade deals. We get these trade deals done, then the economy picks up again. Well, if you're not going to get them done, that has clear political implications for 2020. And so we'll continue to follow the issue here on News Radio 1040 WHO, and I'll continue to analyze the political impact for you.